Okay, so if you have not seen um, My Neighbor Is Part 1, please go and see it. This is Part 2. And yeah, go check it out. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell just to get some updates on what else I put out. Also, be on the lookout for Be the Healthy Alternative. That is the new television show um, that I am in. Is dealing with healthy living, healthy eating options for the everyday consumer. So yeah. So let me get on with this. Okay, so I decided. I said I'm going to avoid her. She's going to have to take the elevator. I'm going to take the stairs. So I did that. And that didn't work after a while because I still had to take the elevator when I needed to have groceries or something like that. And that would be the time that I would see her. I would see her like going off for school because, of course, she's a professor at the school that I go to. So I'm like, but I can still dodge her. It's enough people to where if you could see someone, if you could see them in enough time, you can make a way to where you just don't have to deal with them, okay? You just don't, okay? So, and I'm good at dodging people. I'm like the queen of dodging people. Like, my family always talk about that. Like, if Bill don't want to be found, she can make herself not be found. Like, I'm good. I'm so good at it. Like, not to say it's like kind of funny because it's a little bit sad sometimes because I've used to be, you know how people think about in families, you got like, especially dysfunctional families, everybody has a dysfunctional family. You have like the golden child and you got the scapegoat and all that, and they talk about that, and the kids in the middle, and everybody's crying and them flying monkeys. Well, for the most part, sometimes I can be the scapegoat, sometimes I can be the golden child, but for the most part in my life, I was the invisible kid, you know. Um, I got along with a lot of things. I tried to fight a lot of things, and sometimes I was presented off as a harsh person. So I learned how to just distance myself, and I could be gone away, and people don't even notice that I'm gone for a long time. Like, and that's even till this day. There are certain things like people don't even notice. They'll be like, "Well, Bill's, disappeared." Like, I'm just I've been the invisible kid all my life. I've been invisible. So not to say that like my point don't count, it doesn't matter, but a lot of people count me out, which in sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's hurtful, but in a lot of ways it's very good because it gives you time to work on yourself and to deal with certain things. And you're thinking that you're behind on people, but this is the time for me to excel. This is my golden moment. During school, it wasn't like that. People just, I was different. I was odd. So people were like, and my grandparents always told me that everybody has a different season. Your season might not be right now. Some people's seasons were in elementary school and nobody's thinking about them now and they're messed up. Some people's moments were in middle school and high school and in college and things like that. You have to just do you, be the best you can be, and when your season comes, shine. Everyone has a star, so you have to be like that. But anyhow, yeah, I was the invisible kid. So so I'm dodging this woman. I mean, I'm going out of my way to dodge it, and it got kind of tiring. But I was like, at least I don't have to deal with the negativity, and I don't have to deal with the mixed emotions of whether this person likes me or not. Like, what kind of stuff is that? Like, I don't have time to sit there and wonder if you like me or not, or whether if you're going to attack me or not. When I'm just trying to be myself and be the best version of the best person that I could possibly be, you know, without hindrance, without criticism, without being attacked for being me, or the things that I've done, you know. Um, so especially dealing with a pattern, that's something, whatever. But anywho, so I get there and I'm talking to the manager downstairs. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to take the elevator because I have all these groceries. I've got so much, and I got to hurry up and go take my dog take my dog out. And not only that, I had to get something. Well, I think I had to get something from her or something. But it was weird. And then I had to go out and have dinner, and it was a business dinner. But I love being with this person because we grew up together. But so we have a lot in common. We grew up together. We were like we did academia together, like a lot of competitions. I was in a lot of competitions when I was a kid, especially with academia. Something was smart, you know. Yeah. So anyhow, I love meeting up with each other. You know, he's telling me about his business and stuff, and we're collaborating, trying to work on some things. So I'm running. I'm trying to I get on the elevator, and lo and behold, it's supposed to go up because I saw my other neighbor, and I love her because we got the same. Well, she has a half Shih Tzu and a half Maltese, and I have a purebred Shih Tzu. So our dogs are really, really little. So I love coming over there, and I love her dog. Her dog is a lot friendlier than my dog, and more. She's so adorable. I love my dog too. She has her own little ways. Of course, licking cords. But anyhow, so we're going up the elevator, and my neighbor in the back. He is very nice. He used to scare me a little bit, but he's just very protective. He's a very protective older gentleman guy, and he's very quiet. So as we're talking, we're going up. We're supposed to go up. The elevator takes us down to the basement. So we were on the first floor. In the lobby, we got in, and it took us down instead of up, even though the arrow was going up. So I'm like, oh, God. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So as the door opens, it's her. My whole heart drops. I'm like, I'm about to hear it. So I was like, something just told me address it. Like, clap back at her and address it and knock it out the way. Like, she doesn't like you. Don't worry about it. Knock her ass out. Be as petty as you can be, Bill. Like, you haven't been this petty, but you know what? You waited. So I was like, bet. Like, look, I ain't got to deal with her no more. Like, even if I see her and, you know, I found out, like, the classes that I got to take, there's 3 classes that I have to take. And she's kind of high on there because she used to work at different colleges or whatever. But, so she's got a lot of rank. So there's 3 classes that I got to take. 2 of them she teaches, and she teaches most of them. But there's always another one on the other side. So I was like, you know what? If I get her, I got another opportunity to pick the other 2 teachers that are doing it, and I'm really cool with those 2 teachers. So I was like, let her have it. So I get into my Mean Girls act, like, yeah, Mean Girls, so childish. I love that movie. Anyhow, but yeah, Lindsay Lohan do her thing. But anyhow, so I get up and I'm like, you know, I just want to thank you for, you know, what you said, because she started. Oh yeah, I forgot. I didn't even tell y'all the best part. This is what really made me step back a little bit, because I almost got her that last time when she started talking about weight loss, because I was like, I needed to lose more weight, and I was like, this time I'm going to get a trainer. I'm not going to do it myself, because when I first when I got the crown and everything, I really just exercised myself. I used to be a fitness instructor, and so you have to study a lot of that stuff. There's not only that, it's a lot of apps that you can just do, and if you're diligent and you focus on it, you can actually do it yourself, you know. And I was doing a lot of things, like I was fasting and praying. Some people call that intermittent fasting. I do not call it intermittent fasting, because I always put prayer into it, and it's just not me just not eating, and it's focusing on what my intentions are, focusing on God to provide, you know, putting my faith on God to provide, stuff like that. So I would always do that. I would have certain days where, you know, I would eat like Ezekiel bread, but there would be some certain days that I would eat no meat, nothing but veggies, like clean on certain days like that, and I would have to switch them up like so it was certain things that I was doing. So she had made this comment about about she think it's wrong for people to beg for money to get clothes and stuff like that. And I was just like, how's that even possible? And I started explaining to her, but I was like, you know what? But then she came and she said, I forgot what else we were talking about, but she started talking about her personal issues about how she was hurt physically and spiritually. And it made me, because I was like, I'm going to clap on her. Like, it is so much. And I was like, when you go into these pageants, most people, you get sponsors. You don't really get a lot of people who are giving you money for the reason of you getting clothes. There are a lot of people who would love for you to wear their clothes and advertise for them. You do not have to, even in the smaller arenas, you do not have to go and spend a lot of money unless you're uneducated and this is like your first pageant or you're a beginner in pageantry and you don't know anything about it. I mean, you can literally find, and especially at this time and in this day and age, you can find them like clockwork, you know. So, yeah, I was just like, I'm tired of her. Like, why is she trying to nitpick? Like, if you think something is bad, then, oh, well, that's what you think. I don't care. Like, obviously, you know that I don't care because it hasn't changed anything. So I was going to clap back then, but then she started telling me how she got hurt emotionally. And I was like, girl, you need a hug. And I gave her a hug. And, y'all, I don't hug people. But anyhow, I was like, you sound tired. But I still was like, I'm going to avoid her. But when I got up in that elevator and we saw each other, I was like, I'm going to clap back at her because I'm so tired of this. Like, I shouldn't have to avoid her. I shouldn't have to, you know, if you don't like something, then that's cool. But why do you have to attack me? I'm not attacking you on anything that you're doing. Like, and it was so crazy because let me tell you, I was complimenting her on her shoes. Her shoe game was so cute, especially for her being an older woman. Like, she kept herself together. She, like, I mean, like, pointy-toe shoes, heels, all that. It was so cute. Some of the shoes that I wanted to wear. So it was, and she was saying, we got the same style. I'm like, same style, similar. But anywho, so I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. So I get there, and we're talking, and I'm like, you know, I'm pinpointing what's going on, and I'm like, okay, here's the punch. Before I can even get to the punch and be just mean girl, she gets up and she starts talking about how messed up everything in her life was. And, I mean, you could just tell she was hurting and she was bleeding. And I'm sitting here like, wow, like, I was thinking in my head, is this a show? Or is this her doing it? Because, listen, she's had these punches, these issues where she'll be like I said, she'll be very nice, and all of a sudden, here comes the insults. So I had to look at, and I know this sounds crazy, but my mom always told me, and people will say, oh, that's psychopathic. It is a little psychopathic, but it tells you a lot of the truth. When you're looking at the emotions of people, most psychopaths don't look, you looking at the face, so you're like, oh, you seeing this emotion. Sometimes you got to look at their lips. I know that sounds crazy. People will say, oh, yeah, but look it up. A lot of psychopaths, when they look at emotions, they don't look at this part. They look at the lips. The lips tell you a lot about people, like a lot. And I didn't understand that, and it was kind of hard for me for a minute to look at people's lips. But after this training, like, and even some of the people that, some of my clients would tell you that, like, and they're considered, and first of all, let me tell you, because I know people are like, well, that's a psychopath. All psychopaths are not violent. Most of them are not. They're just very analytical, and man, if you could think sometimes, like, you'll be able to cut some stuff. But anyhow, so I'm looking at her lips, and I see, like, anger. I see anger in her lips, like her lips are tightening. I see, like, you know, and I'm like, dang, like, you are bitter, like, hey, like, girl, like, I don't even want to hurt you. I don't even want to stab you no more. You look so damn wounded. Like, I was like, I don't even know if this is a game or not because, like I said, she's had these issues. So all I could do was like, you know what? It's okay. It's okay. And she was trying to compliment me. I didn't even care about the compliments. I was just like, you know what? I'm going to leave this one alone. Like, it gave her a hug, and it was like, you know what? Thank you. You have gave me so much lightness, in my heart, because I was like, is there something wrong with me? Why is she trying to attack me so much? But I found out that, and this was the aha moment for me. It was like, you don't have to hurt nobody. You don't have to say mean things to people who are evil to you. You don't, because hurt people hurt people. And when you are healed, you don't even have time to even deal with the stuff. When I was hurt, yeah, I could see people's pinpoints, how they're doing things to me, how sometimes I could get over emotional and I'm stressed and I'm lashing out at people. But when you are healed, it's a different way. You don't even have time for it. It just goes over your head, or you can see it and be like, okay, has nothing to do with me. And that's what you have to understand. That whole issue that woman had nothing to do with me. It had nothing to do with me. So I was like, you know what, God forgive me. So, and I gave her a hug, and it was like everything was over. I even apologized to her, because it was just like, you know what, I see that it's some issues. It wasn't like I was apologizing for what she said, and because those things were hurtful and they were brutal and they shouldn't have been said. I will never take that back, because people will manipulate you. However, I see that you just hurt yourself. So why am I like trying to knock you down? She's like, well, let me know if you need anything. I don't need. Listen. I might need something from you later, but as of this point, I need you to. This is what I need for you to do. Heal, baby, heal, because you're bleeding all over on the carpet. You're bleeding all over the place, and that is not a healthy look for anybody. Okay, not a healthy look. So I was just like, okay, and then I had to look. I was just like, I was amazed. Not only that, I was just amazed because it's like, you don't even know what someone's going through, so you need to be careful. That was another thing that God was working on me. Like, yeah, you want to talk about how people hurt you, and you know that I'm sending you to help people, and you've gone through this process, you have no idea how people are hurt. That was years of bottled up hurt that she was explaining to me, and I will never tell what she told me, because, and I don't give a care if we never be friends, if we never, that was something that was private, and I respect that, and I respect her giving it to me, whether it was intentional or unintentional, which I'll tell you about that. That's a whole nother thing about how people just tell me that stuff automatic. It's crazy. A gift, but a curse. So, yeah, you don't have to hurt anyone. They're already hurt. And how dare you get up here and think that it's all about you, because I was thinking it was all about me. She's pinpointing me. She's attacking me. Yeah, it had nothing to do with me. Nothing to do with me. It has to deal with her and her past hurts and the things that she had to deal with and the things that she had gotten through, but she hadn't overcome them or conquered them. You can go through something and you can say, I made it through, but something can still affect you and still hurt you, and you can see it in everything that she does, because she's always putting herself down a little bit, and it's like, what the heck? And I was saying that, and at that time I was telling her, like, because she really is. I was like, you're an incredible person. You're a person that I admire, because it seems like you have a lot of tenacity. Before I even knew what her situation was, I always thought that, because she was very like that. And not only that, I have a neighbor that is a doctor next door, right? So the doctor, he's very domineering, and you can tell that sometimes because people come from other countries, and they have different cultures and backgrounds, so you try to be comfortable with it, but he's been in the States long enough to know. But some of the things, he's just like, oh, he's superior, and you do this, and you do this. And not only that, he has these expectations of, man, that's a whole nother story. Like, I guess he thought that I was some kind of, like, weed head, drug dealer, which, most people know I don't deal with drugs at all, especially since both of my parents were in it. I'm like drugophobic, I guess. I was drugophobic for a minute, like, meaning that I would not go near them, be around, be associated with people with them because of that. It was a huge fear. It's almost like homophobia, germophobia, stuff like that. So, yeah, but she stood up, like she stood up to him, and because he would try to make all the women do all the things when they have their little gatherings. When everybody's having a gathering, he'll delegate and have all the women doing something and the men doing nothing. And she's like, oh no, like she was one of those people. So, and she started talking about what happened in the past. You know how things in the 50s and the 60s are different than what we're dealing with now. You know, we have a lot of freedoms that we take for granted, especially dealing with women. So, yeah. Yeah, so like I said, this was the aha moment for me. This was like an opening. And not only that, I told my mom what was going on because I was like, I needed to hear some advice from someone who was sound. Now, people, if you listen to my recordings, you know that my mom deals with schizophrenia, manic. We don't call it manic depressive. They call it bipolar disorder. Had it all my life. She's had it all my life. But I will tell you this, my mom is extremely intelligent, especially in the spiritual realm and even in the physical. Man, I mean, my mom helped me, like, write letters to the president while she was in prison. Like, my mom was literally my teacher. Like, people didn't understand how I was getting sometimes certain grades and better grades because my mom would literally, like, teach me over the phone. That's how it was. So I'm grateful for that. And as I got older, and when she got out, we didn't have a close knit relationship. She was more closer to my cousins, and I think it was because when she's starting to come out more that it was a reflection. Like I look so much like her, I have so much of her mannerisms. It kind of was hard for her to deal with. But we've grown to a better relationship. So I was telling her, and right now she's in a behavioral health center right now. Okay, so this is still going on. So if you guys would like to support and help with Patricia's Sanctuary, we would greatly appreciate it. Definitely go and on the link and donate, subscribe. Yeah. So anywho, so she gets up and I'm telling her what's going on, and I'm like, Mom, I was just so frustrated, but she was like, she's just jealous, and I'm like, Mom, yeah, I knew that, but I didn't know how deep it was, and I started telling my mom how the lady broke down and started going off, and she was like, she's hurt. Don't get mad at her. Just let her give some time. She'll come around. She was like, she will come around. She was like, sometimes you don't understand because you're dealing with hurts that's so long. It just feels like you get bitter and it cripples you. And my mom talks about her story and how it crippled her. And sometimes some of the things are still crippling her, and it's kind of hard to get over because if you've been, tortured or treated so wrongly for a long time, sometimes you feel like there's no end. You lose hope or you're just hanging on. Sometimes in this process, you can say, oh, yeah, you got faith, and you feel like you're running strong when it's 1, 2, 3, 5 years. But think about 20, 30, 40, 50 years. There's some people who've been working for God and holding on and doing the right things and still been waiting for a breakthrough and still haven't gotten the breakthrough or the release that they have got yet. Everybody's timing is different because God's time, God deals on his time. So that's what it is. So she was just telling me to let it go, and she'll come in her own time. You just pray about it, and I was like, after that, it made me feel like, at first I was like, I'm just not going to say nothing to her. Like, okay, it's cool, still be cordial, but me, if you come out there and you seem like you hurting and you bleeding, I know myself, sometimes I'll get attached too much, so I have to cut myself off. Okay, all right, so you hurting, that's you? Okay, bye. Cool, have a good one. Your social time? Nope, bye. My mom said, don't do that. And I was like, oh, then I was like, you know what, God, I'm praying about this like this. And she told me to take it to God, and that's what I got again. Like, God was telling me, like, how dare you? How dare you? So The moral of this story is, for one, you don't know what people are going through. And for two, this is a season of elevation, but you got to be careful not to get into a negative mindset. You can't go into the whole gossiping phase, because that was kind of a twist of gossip. You have to watch what your portals are in. Your portals. Watch your portals. What are you listening to? What are you eating? What do you? All that, it matters. It really does. You have to guard yourself, because you can get pushed down. You can get pushed down, and you can't be one of those talebearers. I didn't even know what a talebearer was. I thought a talebearer was a person who was just a gossiper and tattles or whatever. Talebearer is the person who gives the false witness, saying, yeah, this person did this, knowing doggone well that the other person was lying. And not only that, they're listening to it. You can't sit there and listen to garbage and think that you're going to have a productive life. You cannot listen to garbage and think that you are going to have a productive life. If these people are being negative, if you're listening to gossip, or you're thinking about doing something negative, don't do it. Because if you're doing something negative and you think you're going to have something positive by bringing someone down or to clapping back at them, don't do it. Don't do it. I had to repent for that. I really did. I really, really did. Because I'm like, God. And then God, like, literally showed me, like, you went through this hurt process your whole doggone self. You went through this process. Now, you was younger, but you went through that process. And I was crying right there. Like, yes, I did. I went through that process. Like, yes, now I know that I'm a little bit ahead of the game, but I was ahead of, God put me ahead of the game, because I'm out here, because he's going to use me to show some other people, like, this is what I can do. And if I can do it, I can do better things. You see what I'm saying? Like, all that stuff, like me going through homelessness, me being rejected so much, me being raped, me being freaking abused, me freaking wanting to kill myself. I almost did, that whole process, me being around people who, deal with all that is going to help, and I'm out here soaring, and I'm not only still here, but I'm thriving. I'm out here thriving, like, it's crazy, and he's going to take me up to a whole nother elevation. How dare I go and try to deal with someone else, or try to clap back at someone else just because I felt uncomfortable because of their hurt. You can't deal with that. And if you got to have tough skin. That's another thing. God developed me to where I have to have tough skin. I wanted him to take that pain away, but he didn't take the pain away. He kept the pain right there, because he knew that's exactly what I needed to get to the next stage, because on the next level, it's going to be new devils, and it's going to be even harder. So that's the lesson that I learned, and the lesson that I hope that you take from this. Even if you get anything, if you get more out of that, great. But those are the things that I've learned through this situation. You have to be vigilant. You have to be careful for what's going on. Yes, it's a time of divine placement, because it is, the historical calendar where we're supposed to be in our divine places, and shifts are going to get changed, and people are getting replaced. But you have to be in the right mindset, because you can get into that spot. Either you can miss your spot, because God's seeing that you're going back and you're turning back to the plow. You're turning away from the plow, and you're going back into your old ways. So you can miss it that way, or you can get into that position and then start turning wayward, and then you're just self-destructive. You can go back into those self-destructive ways, and that's not the way that I want to get there, and that's not the way that I want to represent God, on this earth doing that. I don't want to be the old person that I used to be. I don't want to have to clap back or be defensive on everything. Some things you cannot fight that way. Some things you cannot fight physically. The most things that I've learned, our fight is spiritual. Get your private life together, because it opens so many doors. You see what the real enemy was, because the real enemy was not her. The real enemy was not her. That enemy that she was dealing with was the same enemy that I've been dealing with. Rejection, hurt, pain, bitterness, anger, all that stuff. Those were the real enemies. It wasn't me and her. And look at all the other relationships. You thinking that it's one person, and you're attacking that flesh. So then you get rid of this person, you get rid of that job, you get rid of that relationship, and then you end up picking new faces with the same problems. No. No, no, no. So that's what I learned on that. What else? Um, Also, don't be around people who are saying negative things. When I went downstairs and we were all in there and we were laughing about certain things about because certain things about what she was doing, this lady was doing, it was just weird. Like, what the heck? And we were laughing. Now I have to catch myself and repent for that too because you might not, you might have not said anything bad about someone, but you just being a witness to it, you are in agreement to it automatically by default. It was a lot of things that I did not know that I was in agreement to automatically by default. Being around people who do not believe in God, or being around people who deal with necromancy or sorcery or divination. Um, Not if you're in an area and they're doing it and you're like, okay, I don't want to be a part of it. You are subjected to it by default. You didn't have to participate in it. You were around it. Your agreement to be around it, because it says have no dealings with, meaning separate yourself from it. Like if you say, for instance, somebody went to go and get their palms read or something, and you like, I don't want to have nothing. You know what the Bible says. You say, I don't want to have nothing to do with that. Oh no. Like I had a friend like that. I'll tell you this. In Charlotte, North Carolina, I was still a flight attendant. I had a close friend. Like we used to be cool, but she was just, I don't know. Her whole thing, she wanted to be with God. She was just trying to find a light, but she was wild. Like when I say wow, wow. Okay. And I mean, she just didn't have no limits on her spiritually. Like she was doing. This is one of my friends who were doing some things that were not only not of God, it was just not legal. She was on some whole other stuff. She was getting paper, but I'm not gonna knock you. But it was just like, okay, me, I'm like, okay, I don't want no dealings with it. But you know how a lot of people associated me as being one of them because I was cool with them. You see what I'm saying? Not only that, when she went and got her palm read and she was telling me, oh, this person said this about you and blah, blah, this, and I'm like, no, you're not supposed to do that. You can't do that in the Bible. And she was like, I'm still a woman of God. Nope, you cannot do that. And I kept telling her that, no, you cannot. You know, I didn't know the life-changing effects that it had because her life went chaos, too, after that. And I told her it was going to go chaos. I did not, little did I know that because of my association with her, that my life was going to go haywire, too. So you have to be careful with that. Like, somebody's gossiping, and it doesn't have to be that deep, like, as to what I was saying, but you are the company that you keep, okay? Just like they say, if 5 of your friends are broke, and the first 5 friends that you're with, they're broke, chances are after a while you're going to be broke. You know why? Because you're so busy trying to help them and get themselves together and all that you are draining yourself. Do not do it. Do not do it. I tried it so many times, and yes, it is possible. It is true. It is absolutely, positively true. So be intentional as to who you link